Big Tune, never the little one. This time he ranked Dragon Ball movies. Now, I'm not gonna lie, he always finds a way to piss me off. Oh, it's like, nah, Tune, it's all love. But hey, man, all I demand in this list, I don't care if you think something else is one. I don't care if you think something that I think is great is the worst. Battle of Gods better get its respect. I'm sick and tired of the Battle of Gods disrespect. It's ridiculous. That movie's fantastic. Motherfuckers sit there and say anything about it, and I'm like, rewatched it again. This movie's amazing. What are we doing? Now then there's obviously gonna be some movies that are overrated, and I can't wait to talk about it. Because honestly, this video, you're not gonna be triggered with him. You're gonna be triggered with me. But that's just my one requirement for him. Let's get right to it.
It's been a while, but I'm back, and today's video is going to be about Dragon Ball's movies. And I mean all of them, from Curse of the Blood Rubies all the way up to Superhero.
I will not pretend like I've seen all of them.
I have to just preface that these movies won't be placed on the tier list in respect to every movie ever, but just among Dragon Ball movies. If
of course.
I put one of these movies in Z tier, it does not mean I think it's on the same level as, I don't know, The Departed, but just the best among Dragon Ball films. With that, let's get right into it with
Dragon Ball ain't got a movie that damn good.
Before making this video, I had seen Mystical Adventure and then all of the Dragon Ball Z movies multiple times from when I was a little kid.
I don't think I have. If I have to ask, I probably.
This is the first time I had watched Curse of the Blood Rubies, and I can honestly say that I was pleasantly surprised. The movie is essentially
your Dragon Ball
the
movies
entire
aren't bad,
Pilaf
though.
arc in 45 minutes. Goku meets Bulma, Oolong, Yamcha, Puar, and Roshi in basically the same way. Their motivation for gathering the Dragon Balls
this is the retelling. This is that movie. This is the movie that's like the retelling.
Slightly different because Goku's Dragon Ball was stolen, but the gist of both stories are nearly identical. The one big change is in the main antagonist.
I've heard
Instead
of this movie.
Pilaf,
I didn't watch it because I've heard of this
has
movie.
King Gourmet, and I think he's a better antagonist than Pilaf. His affliction that came from searching for the blood rubies is far more compelling than gathering the Dragon Balls to rule the world. The movie is drawn and animated very well like most Dragon Ball movies, and overall it was just a solid movie. I'll put it in B tier.
Okay.
Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle. I saw
this one I know I didn't
when I was
see.
Younger, didn't like it then.
Sorry to start off ice cold, chat.
Just for a refresher, still don't like it now. The movie is literally about
I
didn't
see
devil
this
trying
one.
to destroy the sun, and Goku and Krillin happen to beat him in the process of doing something else. I know that this movie is supposed to be an alternate version of how Goku and Krillin met and began their training with Roshi, but they never even intended on encountering anything that they did in this movie. And what they encountered just wasn't that interesting to me. So I'll put this in C tier for now, and depending on how the rest of this goes, I might move it down to D. Dragon Ball Mystical Adventure is a mixture of many different elements from the original series. It's not like Curse of the Blood Rubies where it's a retelling of sorts, but it's far from Sleeping Princess because that movie was not related to the main story at all. Mystical Adventure is a story that features Chaozu as a ruler, Tien, Shin, and
I remember this vaguely, like very vaguely. I'm not gonna lie. Didn't see a lot of OG Dragon Ball movies. There's one that I definitely have seen. But the other shit, I'm not gonna lie. That's why I'm quiet. I'm not gonna fake it. I'm not one of those guys. You know, when I have to talk about basketball on other channels, I don't sit there and talk about the 80s and 90s to an extent because I ain't watched that shit. So in this situation, same thing. But I do remember vaguely King Chaozu. So
Tao works for him as well. Chaozu sends his forces out to search for his lost doll. That is not an exaggeration. Now, there are a couple events that are similar to the original story, like Tao killing Bora and Goku having to get stronger after losing the Tao. The story ends with Tien and Chaozu realizing that they're friends and no longer wanting to associate themselves with Shin, along with Goku beating Tao and summoning Shinron to resurrect Bora. This is an alternate version of the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, but it is so much worse than just watching or reading the original story that I wouldn't recommend this movie to anyone. I'm comfortable putting this in D tier. Next is Path to Power. When I would see clips of this movie as a child, I'd get confused because Goku was dressed the way he was in GT,
I've seen this
Android A was around
movie.
and Bulma was a kid. It wasn't until I was much older that I realized that this was a Dragon Ball film that was made around the beginning of Dragon Ball GT.
I
haven't
this
figured
one.
out why this is the case, but I can say that this is a good Dragon Ball movie. This movie, just like other Dragon Ball movies, is an alternate version of one of the Dragon Ball arcs, the Red Ribbon Army arc. And this movie does a fantastic job of telling that story and adding subtle changes that I think make it even better than the source material. It is by far the longest of the 4 movies for the original series, so the story does not feel rushed, and emotional moments are given the time and space to impact the viewer. This will be my first A-tier movie in this video.
For sure, and I agree. I don't know about going straight to Z tier. Do think that there's some movies that are just straight up better than Path to Power, even as crazy as that sounds. But I'm not gonna sit there and act like any person that does have it in Z tier tier is complete delulu. I'm perfectly fine with A tier. I actually 100% agree with that list. Beautiful for non-OD transformations, for non-crazy power-ups and shit. It's such a beautiful looking movie, bro.
Getting into the Dragon Ball Z movies.
All right, this is where I know a lot of you guys are involved.
Movies are written by people not named Akira Toriyama.
For sure.
Like the Dragon Ball movies, none of them are canon. The first 9 movies were produced by Chiaki Yamada, who also served as the president of Toei. There were 5 different directors over the 13 movies, but all 13 Dragon Ball Z movies before the return of Dragon Ball were written by Takao Koyama. And the first of those is Dead Zone. The movie's plot is that an alien named Garlic Jr. comes to Earth with his forces to collect the Dragon Balls to wish for immortality. In the process, he easily beats Piccolo, then kidnaps Gohan, forcing Goku and Piccolo to team up. Towards the end of the fight, in a fit of rage, Gohan sends Garlic Jr. into a void that he cannot escape. Sound familiar? I mean, it's not the exact same, but it's obvious where the inspiration for this story came from. In Dragon Ball Z, the fight against Raditz was great. It was engaging because not only was it a fight against a strong adversary, but there was a long history that came with it, along with changing the future for the main cast. Without those elements, Dead Zone kind of falls flat. So I'll put it in C tier. World's Strongest is
incorrect.
The elements, Dead Zone kind of falls flat. So I'll put it in C tier.
Incorrect. Wrong. That's F, nigga. That movie sucks. Look, bro, you can't convince me Garlic Jr. is a good villain. And I'm going to just call it like that and move the hell on. You can't convince me that he's entertaining and or a good villain. It's all stupid. Stupid in concept, stupid in design, stupid in just believing how shit goes down. Everything about this movie is just dumb, bro. That shit sucks. I do not like that movie. It is one of the most boring Dragon Ball movies to me. Easily.
World's Strongest is so boring. I'm going to go through this one quickly. One doctor wants to release this legendary doctor from ice so he can act on this great plan.
I didn't think it was boring. I'm not gonna act like it's A tier or anything. It's cool.
Version of the main story. And in watching this movie, it was hard for me not to think about how all over the place it was. D tier. Let's move on to the Tree of Might. In terms of
am I overrating World's Strongest? That's the one where Dr. Wheelo, or not Wheelo. Oh, fuck, is it Wheelo? That's the one where the dude's head's in the brain. They kidnap Roshi. They fight the Cybermen bots or whatever. It's that one, right? Is Dr. Wheelo? Yeah. It's you like that one? I'm not gonna act like it's peak, but I didn't dislike it. I'd give it like a CB. I'd have to see how the rest of the list plays out, but I'd say CB. I wouldn't call it boring though. I think Garlic Jr. is objectively boring, but yeah, I wouldn't call it a bad movie.
What story this movie is telling? It's an alternate version of the Ginyu Force, part of the Frieza
Sure Might's entertaining enough.
With the fight against Vegeta. Any new Saiyan introduced in Dragon Ball is going to draw some intrigue for me, because from the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z, us watchers and readers have known that the race was nearly extinct. So when the Z fighters gather to take on a Saiyan who was a low-class warrior and just so happens to look like Goku with darker skin, that was more than enough to get me interested. The Saiyan's name is Turles, and he's the opposite of Goku in more ways than one. He doesn't fight with honor and doesn't take pride in fighting with his own strength. Goku, with a little bit of help from Great Ape Gohan, defeats Turles using Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb, and this is the last time in any Dragon Ball film where Goku uses the Kaioken to win a fight. For now, I'll put this movie at the top of B tier.
Yeah,
now,
the
next movie is a little weird.
Cool movie.
Lord Slug's plot is quite similar to Demon King Piccolo's plan, so
now this movie, I ain't gonna lie, it's cool. It's cool. I know some of y'all like that one. I know some of y'all like this one. It's cool. It's aight. I think that's the problem. I just don't care about Lord Slug. I don't care about the whistling. I don't care for that. And even the finish of the arc, it's also okay. It was just painfully stupid. So yeah, I go C tier.
Won't go over that. But the most intriguing part of this movie is Fall Super Saiyan.
Yep.
A form where Goku has the golden aura and his hair stands up, but his pupils aren't visible and his hair remains black. Well, this is because this movie was released during Goku's fight with Frieza, but before he became a Super Saiyan. Although it was a cool one, that moment does not elevate the entirety of the movie, because I think it's a very middle of the pack film, so it's gonna go in C tier.
We agree.
Cool's Revenge is going in the A tier for me. Most of the Dragon Ball Z movies have a grand opening.
Yeah, people are like, as much as I want to be like, oh, Frieza's brother, nah, Cooler's Revenge is like that. The fights in it are pretty good. Piccolo Piccolo against these Three Stooges, much more entertaining than the Three Stooges in the Lord Slug movie. Goku and Cooler's fight is really entertaining to me. Even the finish to it. I also like how Cooler's moveset wasn't exactly one-to-one with Frieza. It was like, what if Frieza was just like, you know, like Brock Lesnar type shit? Like what if Frieza was in the UFC and just fought like a literal brute, half Broly, half Frieza type shit? I fuck with how Cooler was illustrated in this movie for sure. So this movie, I'm gonna go ahead and say I agree with A tier as well.
The grand finale, but in between is always shaky. To me, that part of the film is what separates solid and okay movies from great ones.
Yeah,
Can the
fair
writers
enough.
keep the audience's attention and excitement at a somewhat consistent level for the entire duration of the film? And Cooler's Revenge did that for me. His familial ties with Frieza, along with his transformations
this was awesome.
and fight
Then nigga just
sequences,
jumped
made this
through
a
that bitch.
very enjoyable film for me. Oh, and this is the first time we see a Super Saiyan in a Dragon Ball film. But the return of Cooler,
F.
Again, this was supposed to be the parallel to Frieza's trip to Earth with his father, but even in that, Akira Toriyama knew not to make that an entire arc, but more like 3 or 4 episodes.
So damn
and
dumb.
I know what
Can't
I just
do
said
it.
a moment ago about grand
It's so
opening
dumb.
and
Can't
grand
do it.
finales, but this movie's ending is not a highlight of this film.
Can't do it.
I think most fans would agree that the best part of the movie is this section here. But
Yep,
due to the
for
nature
sure.
of that interaction,
That
it did
might
not
get you to
last
D
long.
tier, 'cause
This
that
is
scene
one
is
at the
cool.
bottom of C tier, and
Nah, he's nice. He's very nice. Can't do it. That movie is painful. Like I haven't been nice to stupid movies this whole time, but this one is definitely the dumbest movie. It's so damn dumb. Like them niggas are like just getting tortured, but like why? Then he can't beat any of these million trillion coolers, but he can take out the entire Big Getty Star? Why? How? None of it was believable. Where the fuck did Vegeta even come from? It's just all over the place. Like, how did Vegeta sneak on a planet? Nobody was like, oh shit, Vegeta's on the way. Is that? I think it is Vegeta. And then they like pans it. No. How the fuck did this nigga just pull up on Namek, bro? How? This is the definition of a movie that you spun the block on because Cooler was a hit antagonist. So you're like, okay, fuck it. I guess we'll just give him Cooler again. And I ain't gonna lie. I'd have much rather deal without it. This is F to me for multiple reasons.
now that I'm looking at it, Sleeping Princess can move right on down to D. Super Android 13, Z tier. I never really thought about it deeply until this video.
Z? I don't want to underrate the movie. I think it's a good movie. Z. The Spirit Bomb Absorb Punch is cool. 13 as a character is solid. It's Z? Oh, shit. Slight Science TJ is right. This nigga do love Trunks. Oh man, I remember how the 7 episodes of Trunks beating whatever was like A tier or some shit. Yeah, I fucking remember. Oh my god, yeah. No disrespect to you, gang. Yo, you love you some Trunks, bro. I'm like, Z? I said peak? It was no fuck. It was cool. I could even hear A tier, but Z? Insta Z at that? Hell no. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's fucking Trunks, bro.
video, but this movie doesn't really have any holes. The villains are good, many characters get their chance to shine in this movie in comparison to others, and the ending is one of the best in the franchise. And with that, we're going right into another Z tier Dragon Ball Z movie, Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan.
Okay, so there's been a rule throughout the entirety of this video that, yo, shit is painfully stupid, and it's been hindering people. However, at least Broly's fucking cool. I can't go Z only because I'm not gonna lie. As I've grown up, yo, this nigga, he cried as a baby. Babies cry. So I cannot do it. It is the most popular stupid shit out there. People go with Z, Broly's underrated, even better than Super Broly, all that shit. Yo, you know what? Go for it. I'm talking about specifically why this nigga hates Goku. It's so fucking stupid. I can't do it, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and say high B, low A, because I can watch this movie. That's the thing. And that's probably why, gun to my head, I would honestly give it the A tier. I could rewatch this movie for sure. sure. This is one of those movies you just turn your brain off and you have fun, for sure. I'd give it A tier off of pure entertainment. Conceptually, I can't go to Z.
The exposition for this movie is great. Whether it's Goku and his family trying to get Gohan into a school or the rest of the Z fighters and friends relaxing in a park, it's clear that they are experiencing a moment of peace.
W meme.
Something very
meme. S tier meme, I ain't gonna lie.
rare for this franchise. And this movie in particular is so chaotic in the later portions that I think this juxtaposition worked very well. I'm sure most of you know the story for this version of Broly, a Saiyan who was cast away but wields an uncontrollable amount of power, even more so than Gohan. So Broly was a monster. Like I said earlier, any introduction of a new Saiyan is always a plus for me. But where this movie separates itself from many others in the franchise is the middle of the story. I don't want to necessarily refer to it as the conflict or the rising action, it's kind of both at the same time. Vegeta being approached to be the king of the Saiyans, Broly having this weird but obvious problem with Goku, the fact that Paragus hid his use of slaves, it was just a lot going on, and they all effectively worked towards the moment Broly lost control. And that's where the chaos ensues. Great fight, great resolution. I think this movie is comfortably in this tier. It's just unfortunate that this movie's successors couldn't quite live up to it. Bojack Unbound. Dragon Ball Z was on a high streak because if it weren't for the extremely boring first half, I would have put this movie up in Z as well. I don't have too much to say about this movie. I think everything after Bojack's introduction was great, and this movie has what is probably my favorite Gohan moment of all time. A tier, easy.
No, can't do it. Not gonna lie, this movie sucks.
This movie is trash.
I will die with the take that Bojack is a bad movie. I don't know what nostalgia puff, what glasses y'all got on. You niggas are sitting there with your 7-Eleven slushies, your red and blue 3D glasses, and your I Want to Be a Super Saiyan t-shirt with gummy words and nerds rope. Because there's no way in the year of 2024 you can watch this movie and say it's a genuine good movie. He skimmed over it. I'm not. You wanna know why? Because they ain't skimming over a fucking hour. This shit was almost unexaggeratedly an hour of literal bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. Some people, well, what do you mean? It was actually nice to see Trunks box up against Piccolo and no. No, womp womp. No, none of that was entertaining. Until Bojack shows up, this was going down as easily the most boring and beyond worst movie ever. Go in the back of your head and name 5 cool things about Bojack. Do it. Exactly. There ain't nothing about Bojack that's cool. You niggas just like Gohan. Let's just cut the shit. You niggas like Gohan, Team Super Saiyan 2 Gohan so much that you niggas act like Bojack's a good villain. Who the fuck cares about Bojack? It's such a bullshit movie that you niggas actually somehow glorify it. That'll probably be something that when you niggas hop in Discord, you'll try to debate me on. I'll be glad to dunk on this movie. It is not good. In fact, hey, if this video gets to 700 likes, we will sit here and watch this movie because I am tired of fighting this fight. You niggas didn't rewatch it. You watched it one time in high school. You watched it one time in elementary school, and your stamp is good today. This is a bad movie. This is a easy F, most overrated thing in Dragon Ball fandom.
Broly, Second Coming. One of Broly's
and if this ain't enough, we chat.
defining characteristics is his issue with Goku.
I ain't gonna lie, the next 2 Broly movies, if these 2 Broly movies, and yes, even Second Coming, I don't care. Second Coming, you might be able to push it to D or C. Hey, no. These 2 Broly movies are bad.
I don't think you can make a great Broly movie without Goku being a major figure in the film. This movie was released during the time Akira Toriyama attempted to make Gohan the main character in the main story, so I understand his screen time in this movie, and I actually agree with the idea of making him the main protagonist. I know I said a moment ago that I think Goku needs to be a major figure in a Broly movie, but I've expressed multiple times on this channel that the death of Goku meant Gohan inheriting his legacy and his role on Earth. So I think this movie could have been much better if it weren't about Broly, but he was a fan favorite, so bringing him back made sense. As a kid, I used to relish any moment where Goten and Trunks were main figures in the story, but as I've gotten older, I realized that those moments do not change how I feel about the movie as a whole. C tier to a very disappointing second movie to one of the franchise's most popular characters.
I'm not mad at C.
It gets even worse. Bio Broly is without a
Yeah, I can see some of you guys say I'm overhating on Second Coming. Second Coming has some attributes to it that are pretty fucking cool, I guess. If Bio Broly isn't in F tier, I will repeat, if you don't have Bio Broly in F tier, you are doing the I disagree with the guy on the mic thing in your corner. Who likes this movie? It's not remotely good. As someone in chat said, and I swear I was gonna bring it up, this is the movie that rivals Evolution in terms of which is worse. This is an awful movie. Not even an awful Dragon Ball movie. This is an awful movie.
doubt the worst animated Dragon Ball film. F. Movie 12, Fusion Reborn. The villain? Yeah, Janemba's silly, but it's Tamir Rabu. And honestly, not having to see it over a span of dozens of episodes makes it a lot more bearable. I like Janemba, and his fight with Goku in both forms was well directed, and this movie also uses fusion in the way that I think it should be. It's always used as a last resort, but it should only happen when the protagonists know that it will equate to a victory. And after Goku and Vegeta fused, it only took Gogeta 90 seconds to beat Janemba. That's how fusion should work. This movie is going in A tier.
I've been negative for a lot of this movie. I think this is one that your nostalgia cooked. I seen some C's, I seen some B's, nigga. For me, that is damn near a Z. That movie is fantastic. It's comedic, simple start to it, but effective start to it. Sometimes I'm telling y'all be trying to have these complex ass villains, dog. This good random nigga in hell, he broke the evil fluid, and now he's a demon. Oops. Now, the only thing that holds this movie back for me is the side plot. The Hitler shit was kind of funny, but stupid. But everything else, look, I talked about Path to Power being beautiful. Janemba, let alone the fights in this movie, are easily, without a doubt, the best animated shit in any movie ever. For me, that movie borders Z to me.
Wrath of the Dragon introduced another fan favorite character in Tapion, and although his story is tragic, it isn't one that I cared about too much. So the interactions between him and Trunks that make up a good portion of this movie, although they look beautiful, they fell flat in terms of impacting me as a watcher. But this film has a really good final conflict that involves essentially the entire main cast at that point in the story, and they all have their moments to shine.
You care about the relationship between Trunks and Tapion at that point in time? What? How do you not care about that shit? That shit was sad as a motherfucker.
But this film has a really good final conflict that involves essentially the entire main cast at that point in the story, and they all have their moments to shine. Although Goku winning is questionable because he is arguably the third strongest fighter there, it was a solid resolution nonetheless. I'll put this movie at the top of B. Now for the movie I've been waiting. I'm
going probably A as well.
To get to the Battle of Gods. You can click the video on the top right corner to hear how I feel about Battle of Gods and its release, and I'll still try to explain it here, but that'll be far more in depth. After 17 years of no canon Dragon Ball material, this movie was everything I could have wanted and more. It did a fantastic job of ushering in the new era of Dragon Ball. From the new power we would see, the characters, the animation, the music, and I don't think it's coincidental that this movie is the first ever written by Akira Toriyama. This is the perfect Dragon Ball movie. Not only is it going in Z, but it's going right at the top.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I said it at the beginning for a reason. This, I think, is my Dragon Ball movie GOAT. What are you gonna tell me? The movie's not funny? Cap. The movie doesn't have any build up? Oh my God, Cap. It has one of the more straightforward and actually good expositions out there on this list. You're gonna tell me Beerus isn't a good antagonist? Cap. Whis isn't an also good pseudo antagonist, but not really? Again, Cap. The fight scenes and animation are beautiful. The only thing that's somewhat like in this movie is literally Vegeta powering up, and that's just explained by he slapped Bulma. The nigga got, would you get mad if your wife got slapped? That's about it. So it's literally like everything about this movie cooks. It looks beautiful. It even has iconic moments the same way a movie like even Bojack, even Fusion Reborn has. I'm not gonna let you destroy my world. This is so big. So yeah, this is a easy Z for me. This is my favorite Dragon Ball movie of all time.
Fortunately, Resurrection F, although extremely anticipated, did not live up to the expectations.
Yeah, I'm going C.
The more Dragon Ball Super content we get, the less and less I'm a fan of Frieza being around. And this movie is the reason for that. It looks beautiful.
Time out. Hey. Look, I've done a lot of non-explaining shit because we got to speed run shit. I got to end this video soon. So if you want me to be more in depth next time, my brother, I got you. But I have to stop you here. Resurrection F was bad. Tournament of Power Frieza? Maybe. Oh my God, he's so fucking good. Tournament of Power Frieza is literally like damn near peak Frieza, bro. Tournament of Power Frieza is so fucking good for unexplicable reasons. He's so good, bro. It's like they took everything from Namek and said, okay, what if we had a guy that goes from spoiled brat menace to he knows he's not the strongest, so let's dive in a little bit more into the cunning bag and let's just make him 10 times more conniving and up the sadistic levels from 1 million to 5. This nigga was an instigating, sneaky, conniving little dipshit bastard. And it was so good. Frieza in the Tournament of Power was fantastic. Hey, you were tripping, gang.
Well, then introduce some new forms, but I can't in good faith put this any higher than towards the bottom of B. And now
you a nice nigga. That shit is at C. It's low C, D tier.
The Dragon Ball Super movies. New animation, new art style, new characters. Dragon Ball Super Broly delivered in a big way in almost every facet I could think of. In terms of the plot, it gave us a new and more developed origin story for Broly, an animated version of Goku's life on planet Vegeta, and some interpersonal relationships Broly formed that really enhance any of the moments where he's experiencing any kind of pain or anguish. Through Chi-Lai, Paragus, and especially Ba, the watchers get more of an idea on why Broly operates the way he does. Every fight in this movie is beautifully choreographed and paced, and in my opinion, Gogeta's appearance in this movie is the best of any fused character in the franchise. Another Z-tier placement.
Easy.
Now, Superhero doesn't have any holes, but it doesn't peak as high as movies like Broly or Battle of Gods. Gohan's transformation at the end of the movie is supposed to be this really grand moment in the realization of a lifetime, but it just feels like a cheap knockoff of what he did against Cell. The entire last fight is just Gohan versus Cell again. I'm not a fan of when Dragon Ball pulls the nostalgia card because oftentimes it does not come with a compelling story. But Pan, Piccolo, and the Gamma's all really good in this movie. I can admit that Superhero is a well-written movie. I just don't like the ending. So I'll put it towards the bottom of A tier.
I actually 100% agree with him. W way to close the video. I 100% agree with him. But what I will say, in terms of the ending, yeah, it was literally Gohan versus Cell Part 2. You had him rage boost in the same formats against the same antagonist, except this time you kept him as semi-perfect Cell because you wanted to make the contrast form of Beast Gohan and even Orange Piccolo look more unique and look cooler. If semi-perfect Cell turned into perfect form Cell, he'd have looked just as cool and it'd remove the hype from Beast Gohan. But that's besides the point. Piccolo is definitely the star of the show in this movie. The character moments is what I'm talking about when I compare this to like a Bojack, for example. And that's why I think this is disgusting. They're on the same tier. Think about before we see Cell Max. Hell, before they even fight the androids. Think of this movie's exposition and the build up to the fight in this movie and compare it to the build up in Bojack. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about in terms of how things can be good without having to get active or having to be this main ultra bloody life at stake fight. It is so night and day, it's not even funny. I think the fact that these two are on the same list and you actually put them right next to each other is the most nastiest shit about this list. Overall though, I'm not necessarily too triggered. I just don't spam my Z tier up. And also, if you noticed, for my channel, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I do think the Super movie is low key. The Super movies low-key got the cooking. I don't know how that's a hot take, but let me know your thoughts, man. I know movies is like one of those niche topics that for some reason everybody's interested in. So, but even while I won't care about it, you niggas are like 10 toes on the movie takes. So let me know your thoughts. What is your favorite Dragon Ball movie of all time? For me, it's definitely still Battle of the Gods, but I think I ain't gonna lie. My top 3, it's the new Broly movie, God of Destruction, and then I ain't gonna lie, I'm really thinking about it now. I don't see a lot of misses in Fusion Reborn. It would have been Wrath of the Dragon if Goku didn't get the kill. I know that's corny. I know that's typical, but that is the take there. It's such a head scratcher of an ending. But those are my favorite 3 movies. Maybe even my top 3 movies. Let me know what you like. Shout out to even Z Broly though, because he is fucking cool. People act like he's not nowadays. He is still cool. He's just dumb. Take care and stay blessed. I'll see you niggas next time.